Souls-like genre is home to so many weird and quirky games. Like, why did they create a game where you're an anime loli wizard fighting through dungeons? Like, seriously, what are they gonna make next? A game hugely inspired by Bloodborne where you play as a femboy Pinocchio saving the world from evil puppets? No. No.
Geppetto's puppet.
No. Yup, the Souls-like Pinocchio game is officially here. Why was this made? I don't know, but I'm not complaining because it's pretty much just Bloodborne 2. I can already see people in the comments crying, absolutely bawling buckets of tears, complaining about that statement, but cry me a river, man. It literally is just Bloodborne 2. You have the funny health regen mechanic, which really encourages an aggressive playstyle, and also every building looks just like Gothic Target. And if you didn't already believe that this game is pretty much just Bloodborne 2, look. Carriages. Crashed carriages. They're everywhere. But I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself. How did we get here? Why are these puppets so angry at us? And more importantly, if these puppets are supposed to be police officers, why are they attacking a white person? Luckily, at the start of the game, we can count on an intro synta. Yup. This game takes another bit of inspiration from Bloodborne. It just randomly starts you out. No explanation of what's going on. You start off in this train with this butterfly talking to you, which is very reminiscent of Persona. Like, so reminiscent that it just feels like they blatantly took it from Persona. And now that the cutscene has ended, we can finally get out of the chair and get a better look at our model. And man, Pinocchio definitely looks very feminine. I didn't know they'd changed so many parts of the story. In the original story, Pinocchio wanted to be a real boy. But, in this game, Pinocchio looks so feminine. I honestly think he's trying to pull something else off here. But that isn't the only wacky thing that's going on, because as soon as I started moving... Why do I move like this? Can we just, like, teleport around? There's no, like, turning here. I'm just... Whoop, 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 whoop. It's just like instant motion. Upon further inspection in the train, we found Jiminy Cricket. Oh, look at that. He's in a jar. Oh. Oh. And then after that, moving forward into the train, we get the option to select a combat style. Now, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you guys. This is pretty much our class. This is going to choose our starting stats, and it's going to choose our starting weapon. It really doesn't matter, just like Dark Souls, but still, I went full basic, and I just picked dexterity. Sue me. And once we leave the train, we get to Krat Station. And we find our first enemy type, police. They're everywhere. Nobody told me there'd be so many damn pigs in this game. Haha, little does he know I'm carrying 24 grams of coal. Oh, he knows! Unlucky for us, that police officer was one of many in Krat Station, which is essentially a tutorial for this game. It's meant to teach you the combat basics and some other basics that'll get used at a more advanced level later in the game. Like all other tutorials in Souls-like games, it just teaches you the normal attack, strong attack, all of that. And it is hardly different at all in Lies of P, because it's essentially just the same combat system as Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that other stuff, except from a few small changes which we'll get into later. But you know one change? One big change? The metal arm. Why does Pinocchio have a metal arm? I have no idea. He's literally a puppet. If he lost an arm, why didn't you just put another wood arm on? But I'm not complaining because it looks super cool. But that's not the only reason I like it. It can also do a lot of doing. Oh, let me tell you, buddy, oh boy, you have no idea how cool this arm is. Right now, the only ability it has is to essentially just wallop on whatever enemy you desire. But later on in the game, it starts to do a bunch of different cool stuff, which once again, we'll get into later. Oh, you thought we were done just because we defeated those guards? Oh, buddy, oh boy, I am sorry. You are not ready for what is ahead. Because once we get in a Krat Station, we get a very temporary boon to our playthrough. We receive an actual blessing, which is going to be rare in this game. There's this funny little energy thing sitting in the middle of the room, but we pick up this object and we find out it's healing. Yeah, this little thing sitting on the left of your screen, it's a healing item. Since we're a puppet or like a robot or whatever we are, I guess we use electricity as an Estus flask. We aren't really gonna question things I don't know why a puppet needs to heal using electricity, but oh well. But eventually we go into this little hallway, and we immediately get introduced by a guy who pulled a blicky out on us. This officer starts shooting on sight using excessive force. I didn't know I was in America, man. Okay. And then there's this new enemy with like a chandelier in his hand. He looks like a normal civilian, and he's just mesmerized, dazzled by the moonlight. And that's where we learn we can backstab in this game. Fun. Progressing more into Krat Station, I'm thinking, we've already seen a lot of new enemy types. We've seen the guard with the stop sign, we've seen the guard with a blicky, and we've seen the civilian with the candle. What could be next? And as I'm thinking that, I'm looking to the side, and I see this faux-fi fum looking guy. But this guy isn't just here to be big. He's here to teach us a little lesson. A lesson in blocking and parrying. Because ladies and gentlemen, there's something different about this game from Bloodborne that I haven't told you about yet. In Bloodborne and Dark Souls and all that, you block, you take a little bit of damage, you call it a day. If you have the right weapons or shields, you can parry. And you can leave them open to a very critical attack. However, in Lies of P, there's a normal blocking like in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, where you can just block and take a little bit of damage, but there's also perfect blocking, where if you block a couple of seconds before the enemy hits, you take no damage. Oh my goodness. And also, unlike Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you can parry with every single weapon in the game. But in this game, it isn't just a funny little thing that you do, it's an ability. You can only use the ability every now and then, but like the other games, it opens them up to a critical hit. But there's another very critical part that we're not talking about. Because I do a lot of comparing this game to Bloodborne and Dark Souls, but we're bringing him in. We're bringing a good old Sekiro in. Because enemies also have a stance bar. Which, now that I'm seeing it in this game, it works really well with Bloodborne's like offensive playstyle, and in Bloodborne 2, having like a stance that you can break would be perfect. But yeah, in this game, if you poke this little guy enough, he's gonna be open to a fatal attack, just like in Sekiro. Which, like I said earlier, builds on the aggressive playstyle of this game so much, and it just feels fitting. It just feels at home here. Kudos to Lies of P, man. And after you defeat the big guy, you get a frame. Now I'm sure you're wondering, man, what do frames do? Well, it's essentially just armor. Yeah, it's just armor. Instead of equipping funny little cosmetics like in other games, you just kind of equip this frame, and it decides how much armor you have and how much weight you carry. This pretty much decides if you're gonna fat roll or not, or if you're gonna middle roll or fast roll. And I think there's some other equipment that you're able to get later on, which also acts as armor, but right now we're just worrying about the frames, man. And since we beat that guy, we can now get out of Krat Station. But once we open the doors, we walk over to this funny little blue light emitting out of the ground, and we inspect it. And then we begin repairing this thing called the Stargazer. Now, I don't have to tell you, it's just a bonfire, man. Every Souls-like game has its version of this. Usually the bonfires are like themed around the game. I have no idea what a Stargazer has to do with Pinocchio. I don't know, man. I didn't watch the movie in a while, and I didn't read the Pinocchio light novels or comics or fanfics or whatever else other media they have for Pinocchio. But yeah, you use this to level up and enter your storage. But I had enough ergo to level up, which is pretty much just the souls in this game. So I invested it all in technique, which is dexterity, if you couldn't guess. Because I'm just basic like that. What am I supposed to do, man? Am I supposed to actually do like a different playstyle than I do in other games? Am I actually supposed to try different things in video games? What? No. I'm gonna do the same thing I do every playthrough. And I'm gonna make my 700th dexterity build this game. Because why wouldn't I? But once we step away from the Stargazer, I start to inspect the area a little bit. And I couldn't help but notice some of the things in this place are a bit off for a game about Pinocchio. Is that a man hanging off of the statue? That is a little dark. And once I stopped staring at corpses and started inspecting the area a little bit more, we found a bunch of funny little guys sitting around. There was a bunch of enemies in this area that we ended up having to defeat, but there's one thing of note. For the first time, we were introduced to dogs. Yes, boys, this is the saddest thing you can do in any Dark Souls game. Murder a dog. Don't tell PETA about this one, man. They're gonna be putting Fido's face on a t-shirt after that one. But while beating up these funny little men, we learn about this funny little thing called Fable Arts. Fable Arts are a lot like Weapon Arts from Dark Souls 3. And also a lot like Ashes of War from Elden Ring. Pretty much these cool little abilities that you can use to do funny little moves that are way more powerful than your basic attack. And then while playing around in the menu, I find by far the most useless part of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that Lies of P is a completely single-player game. Yes, unfortunately, you can't have multiple Pinocchios running around fighting possessed puppets. So there's no form of social interactions in this game, and more importantly, no purpose to have any vehicles of social interaction. But guess what, boys? We still have emotes in Lies of P. Boys, I figured out how to emote. Yup, that's definitely growl. That's some fine quality stone right there, if I do say so myself. Aw man, look at that grass. You can tell that that isn't turf, that's some authentic green leaf. And eventually I find myself in the Pinocchio version of the hood. And ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I do when I enter the Pinocchio hood is get jumped by this guy wearing all red. I surely hope he doesn't have any gang affiliations. And I mean, if we're talking about gang affiliations, ladies and gentlemen, I progressed deeper into the puppet hood, and got encountered by a group of men in blue. I honestly think that Lies of P is doing this on purpose, man. But Pinocchio must have dropped some epic track or something, because boys, we got out of the hood. But bad news, we landed in the circus. And it appears we're not done getting jumped, because we are informed that a certain puppet is here.
A powerful parade puppet is blocking the entrance, and that's the only way in.
Alright, you're gonna tell me to be afraid of a powerful parade puppet. What? What? That name doesn't exactly strike fear in your heart. I mean, dude, I have no idea what a powerful parade puppet even is, and I'm sitting over here mentally preparing to fight it? Is it you? No. Is it you? No. Oh. Oh. This boss fight was very, very difficult. Not like roll into a ball and cry difficult, but this guy was giving me a run for my money. And man, oh boy, do I have a list of questions. We had the police officer puppet, which makes sense to enforce the law around here. We have the civilian puppet for, I don't know, like, filling the streets or whatever. But what is this guy used for? Why did they ever think of creating the powerful parade puppet, and why does he look like this? What were they gonna do with him that was not just complete outright murder? They have him in the circus, so are they gonna like juggle lions or stuff? Are kids in this universe just watching giant robots juggle lions and like laughing uncontrollably? Like, what is this puppet supposed to do? Well, I mean, it's obvious this guy's just big to be big, which is fair. Me getting mad about this is honestly just copium, because let me tell you boys, there was highs and lows to this fight. This was our big introduction to unblockable attacks, which it was not a very nice introduction. You ideally want to be close to this guy to attack him, because I mean, you have a sword, and then he just randomly decides that he's just gonna pound the ground, and you hardly have enough time to get away from the attack. So most of the time you just get absolutely smashed by this guy. But it's all dandy, because look, he looks like he's about to give up. Oh no, I guess I'm dumb to think that I won the fight. Apparently he just rips off his own head to use as a weapon, because that's something that puppets do. That's something that any being does ever. That is normal. It was already stressful enough dealing with him when he had a head, but now I have the headless horseman over here trying to turn me into a pancake? And as soon as this guy loses his head, he goes super aggro and starts spamming attacks at you. One could say that he lost his head over the whole ordeal. And then a little bit in, I learned the strat with this guy. You just have to hit him enough to stagger him and get a critical blow on him. And fortunate enough for me, I was able to stagger him. But unfortunate for me, he spams attacks so much that you can't even get the critical hit in. So here I am, I finally found an opening. And for a little context on these critical hits, there is a little red circle that you have to stand in to activate the critical hit. But this guy is so big that you can just get stuck on him. Bro, why can't I move? No. Alright, I just have to hit him. I wasn't able to get the fatal blow off on him. That is so annoying, though. How can I get stuck under him like that? Trash game. Honestly, just trash game. Terrible game. Yeah, you can imagine how I felt. I got stuck on the giant robot and I wasn't able to pull off the critical hit on him. And then, just for a little context on this, I must have gone full tryhard. Because I did not say anything else in this recording. And then it just ended. The recording just ended. I went to go and take a nap or something. That was how done I was with this guy. And I know there are going to be people in the comments saying, the scary puppet funny master parade monster is literally the easiest boss in the game. Why can't you defeat him? Like, bro, shut up. Shut up. I mean, I can't parry for the life of me. I can't block for the life of me. I just dodge. That's the only thing I know how to do. That's what Dark Souls taught me. And in this game, it isn't easy to dodge, so please have a little bit of sympathy with me. And then coming from my little break or my nap or whatever I did after stopping the recording, I finally came back and beat him. Boys. Holy crap, man. Get absolutely destroyed. Dude is an absolute joke. Man, it was quite fitting that he was located in a circus, because that man was definitely a clown. I'm gonna be 100% transparent with you guys. I was throwing so much shade towards this guy once he was dead, but he gave me a hard time. I was not one to talk in this moment. The excitement of beating him was getting me to brag about my win, but I bet if he came up from the dead right then and there, he would humble me again. And then we start pulling up to Hotel Krat, which I don't know if I mentioned, but that is our goal right now, to reach the blue butterfly or whatever's going on with her. And we arrive at a doorway, and someone asks us what we are, or who we are.
Welcome to the sanctuary of the Grand Covenant. Prove your identity. Who are you?
And we have to tell them we're either a puppet or a human. Now I'm rubbing my hands together like a little fly because I'm thinking this is awesome, man. This is the first example of the lying system that we've seen in this game. I'm really excitedly anticipating how they're going to work this in to the gameplay and how our choices is going to affect what we do next. So I decide I want to be a real boy. I want the good ending. So I don't lie. I tell the truth and I say that I'm a puppet. And it just tells me that I can't go in. So then I have to re-enter the prompt and lie and say that I'm a human. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty disappointed, because given that this is Pinocchio, the whole lie or truth thing seems like it would be a pretty big part of the narrative. But the fact that whether I lied or told the truth here didn't really make a difference was a real disappointment, and it felt like a real wasted feature. But anyways, I just went on with the lie, and hoped that this got a better application later on in the game. Foreshadowing! We open the door and then a cutscene starts. We're finally getting an explanation of what happened with the puppets. But it isn't really an explanation. Things just happen, and then they just become evil. We'll probably find out later, but this cutscene doesn't really tell us much other than society was thriving until the puppets became evil. And also, the mayor has a Bible with the text OF on it. Bro has the OnlyFans Bible. I guess when we're exploring now, we've got to look out for the Church of Amaranth. But what I think is most funny about this cutscene is this is a cutscene essentially briefing us on why we have to save everyone. But what I think is most funny about this cutscene is our objective is to save everyone. And that's what's told to us by the blue butterfly in the train. But the thing is, this cutscene literally shows how everyone gets violently murdered by these puppets. Who are we supposed to save? It seems like we're a little too late to save anyone. And we finally enter Krat Hotel, which is essentially just a Firelink shrine / hub area of Lies of P. And of course, every Souls player knows, whenever there's any hub world in a Souls-like game, it must come with a Firekeeper. Because for some reason, it's just become a thing in Souls-likes that there has to be some kind of waifu in the hub world for people to like, fantasize over. And man, she fits that criteria. Because whenever I was walking into Krat Station and I saw her, there was no line going on. But oh man, was my nose growing. And upon talking to her, she decides to fix my arm. But she doesn't only fix my arm, she gives me a completely new ability. The ability to shoot this thing out and pull people near me. It doesn't exactly show in this clip, because I can't move this test dummy. But trust me, it moves things. Then after testing that out, I check out Krat Hotel a little bit. And it's just your normal hub space, you wouldn't really expect anything else. You have your weaponsmith, which does things that I imagine are gonna come in handy later. You've got this funny little guy, which I don't think does anything. And I'm pretty sure there was another thing in here, but I can't find the clip of me walking over to it. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But alas, it's time to stop messing around. No more exploring Krat Hotel, we've gotta go out and kill puppets. So I walk over to Sophia and I level up Dex, or whatever it's called in this game. Immediately after leveling Dex, I kind of realized I probably should have put it in my health. But I'm a Dark Souls player, what do you expect, man? We're going no hit. And leaving Krat Hotel, we go into our next area, which I don't have the name pulled up right now, so you're just gonna have to read it off the screen. Going into the funny little entranceway, this place is really dark, corpses everywhere, and legitimate darkness just covering the area, no lights. But then there's this tram that just completely derails. Well, it didn't really derail, it's still hanging, but it got a little loose. And it just started shining its light at the ground, which is so ominous and like terrifying, I just didn't want to go into the light. So we casually walk past that, and ooh look, we find another stargazer. And then we see more enemies. So after seeing an actual enemy for the first time, I do the first thing I can think of. I test out our new little grappling hook thingy that works on humans, and oh boy does it work. Man, let me tell you, I was pulling more people towards me than Dream pulls allegations towards him. I was having a ballin' good time. And man, I was feeling awesome. I was sitting here rolling through the streets of Britain with my little rope thingy. There's only so much piece of proper Brexit geezer can have a one die in it, because these dang kids pulled up and tried to check my pockets. Would you believe that? So I dealt with them the way one does. After cleaning the streets of all those heathens, I eventually worked my way up to the roof, and like Santa Claus, I was dishing out gifts to both the naughty and nice people. The naughty people got a blade cutting them in half, and the nice people, well, you're gonna stand there, you're not gonna look behind you. We're gonna sneak up, and we're gonna give you a little bit of a surprise, a Christmas present, an early surprise. Aside from me being a sneaky little boy, the roof sucked. It was easily my least favorite part of the game. Now granted, this is an actual criticism of the game that I'm about to say right now, because all of this is because I'm terrible at the game. But listen man, I'm in America, I have a right to complain. I'm a red-blooded American citizen, and you best bet I'm about to complain about something that's literally my fault. First of all, I was walking through the roofs, and I just randomly get killed once I walk through this doorway. And in the commentary, I complain about how I was killed by literally nothing, and how I had no idea what could have killed me. But then I edited the video and watched it back. Do you guys see that? It's a funny little man lurking. He's blending in with the buildings. I mean guys, take a look, because I didn't. So now I have an entire bit where I'm just complaining about how I was assassinated by air. And it turns out that I was just blind. But then we get up to the big roofs. I'm not talking about the other roofs. The other roofs were baby roofs. They were roofs to buildings much smaller than this one. With this roof, you look down from the roof, you're looking down on the entire city. Look down from that roof and you get Batman's POV. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a part that I think is super annoying and I will not concede on it. Whenever you walk by any corner, there's always some man with a little funny pokey getting ready to stab your eyes out. And the people with the pitchfork, They aren't just sitting there like, ha ha ha, let me poke you, let me poke you, let me poke you. No, no. They full on charge at you like they're trying to avenge their dead father. And I'm super angry, because before this point of the game, I was using only dodges because I'm a little Dark Souls boy, I'm a little Dark Souls player, what am I supposed to say? But since blocking and parrying is such a big part of Lies of P, I wanted to start using it more. So I was using blocking a lot more at this point. And on these roofs, you just can't block this attack. You've just gotta dodge out of the way. But of course, here's little old me being stubborn. I just try to block it anyways. Because what am I supposed to do, man? Use my brain? No. It's not for me. I think I'll just keep dodging while this man charges into my sword. Thank you very much. But yeah, anyways, I just die a lot on that part. And eventually, I end up deciding to actually dodge out of the way. And what do you know? I survive. But I'm still angry. I'm still extremely angry with you, Lies of P. Please remove this enemy from the game. I'm putting a change.org in the description. Let's hope that the developers will actually go back and completely remove this character from the game. Oh, and another thing that I think is an actually good complaint. Well, I mean, not really. But when we went over to Sophia and we got this cool new power to shoot ropes out like Spider-Man and bring our enemies towards us, I was thinking of the many things that I could do with this and how creatively I was going to use it in the future. Well, look at me on the big boy roof. I see this sniper sniping at me. Haha. I'm about to outsmart this guy. I'm going to bring him down with my rope and then I'm going to stab him. Well, no. Yep, for some reason Lies of P devs added cool Spider-Man rope and didn't let us bring people from higher levels up. Granted, I'm pretty sure it was because there was a fence in the way of him, but I'm not looking at the footage right now, and I am just gonna feign ignorance to complain more. But clearly the game knew that I was starting to get really annoyed at the little enemies poking at me. So, they decided to give me a big boy. So here I am getting ready for the fight, getting ready for war, getting ready to destroy this big guy in one hit. So I get prepared to walk across the plank and begin war. And then... yeah, I don't really want to talk about it. But then I ran back, and I finally made it across the plank. And first things first, I decided to loot the chest right next to him. And then, I was ready for the battle. I was gonna beat him this time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I was done dirty. The roofs just honestly wasn't my area. I was just being put through the ringer, and man did I think of just quitting. Anyone who's played Lies of P is probably going to be making fun of me right now, because I know it actually gets hard in the later game, and here I am, just struggling and constantly dying on the roof. But you gotta admit, that last time, it was pretty unfair, it was pretty unlucky. But then I realized, this fight is kind of unfair in the first place. This is a really big guy. But finally, after bringing a huge knife to a fist fight multiple times, I was finally able to beat him. And I was able to finally get out of the rooftops. And I was finally able to get back into a building. And there was an NPC waiting for us. This guy was here right before we fought the Mad Parade puppet or whatever that thing was called. So you can imagine how I felt seeing this guy. I had just defeated the big guy. And now there's possibly a bigger guy that I have to defeat. And if the NPC wasn't already enough, we found a stargazer. A checkpoint right next to an NPC as notorious as a merchant. That is not a good sign. So I very anxiously rest at the stargazer. And man, Jiminy Cricket just starts yapping, man. He just starts dropping exposition on us. I couldn't tell you guys if it was important because I didn't listen. And man, did I express that in the commentary.
Sorry. Must be the shock. Bear with me, and I'll do my best to guide you.
Damn, I do not care. He could have not said anything that was less important. And I don't have the footage, but we ended up grabbing a different weapon. Finally, we had some options. But it didn't really match our current build. Oh no. More roofs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. It turns out that we were not done with the roofs yet. And more importantly, we were not done with the Pokemon yet. I thought I was in the clear, man. I thought that we were going to face a boss battle because of the merchant, but it turns out that we're facing something even worse. More roofs. But we were lucky, because this roof section, it was pretty quick. And waiting on the other side of it was a special encounter, because there was a woman behind a window that we needed to talk to. When I was talking to this weeping woman, there were plenty of questions that I had. Like one, if she's extremely diseased like she says she is, why would you want your baby to be brought to you? I would want my baby to be as far away from me as possible. I wouldn't want to spread the disease to the baby. But I don't know, she clearly just wants to see her baby, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not think that this baby was gonna exist at all. I thought that this was just a quirky little interaction, and we weren't gonna bring her anything at all. But I guess you'll have to watch the rest of the video to find out. Oh, and by the way, did I mention talking to people in Windows? Bloodborne reference? Now, for a break from our regularly scheduled programming. This is a tadpole, check it out. It's supposed to be a frog, but it has a small issue. You haven't left a like and subscribed. If you leave a like and subscribe, this tadpole will be able to turn into a frog. If you don't leave a like and subscribe, this poor tadpole will be denied its fate. It would be a pretty terrible thing to do to not press a couple of buttons to make this poor tadpole a frog. But I don't know, the choice is in your hands. I trust you to make the right decision. Well, back to what you clicked on the video for. After a lot of exploring, we eventually reach the Alchemist Bridge. And I know what you're thinking. He doesn't even have 200 subscribers. His YouTube career can't end this quick? And don't worry, I didn't say a racial slur on this bridge. That's for later in my YouTube career. But once we go further into the bridge, we find this guy called Mad Donkey, who has mad beef with Geppetto. And Geppetto's hiding inside of a carriage for some reason. Apparently Guy can't fight. For some reason, Pinocchio is a combat master in this game, but Geppetto's just hiding inside of a carriage. You'd think if Pinocchio was so skilled in combat, that Geppetto would be like a master splinter, who is his teacher, and who taught him the way of the blade. But no, apparently not, because he's just hiding in the carriage while this guy with a donkey head is really sizing him up. Embarrassing, honestly. And then we get into our first fight with an actual, real human. It just works like a fight with any normal NPC from any other Souls-like game. Although I will say, I really like how Liza P went out of its way to make an NPC boss fight. I don't feel like a lot of Souls-likes actually include NPC boss fights. But I mean, don't quote me on that, because there are probably going to be like 8 people in the comments straight up listing NPC boss fights in Souls-like games. But listen man, I don't want to talk about it. I just played Mortal Shell and called it a day. I don't play every single Souls-like game that's released. Anyways, we knock out Mad Donkey. Honestly, it was a pretty easy boss fight. Let's not talk about the fact that I died like 2 times. And then, Geppetto gets out of the carriage. Look at this guy's drip. Bro is dripping from head to toe. Look at that bowler hat, that jacket, those gloves, those glasses. Bro really said if the world is gonna end, it is gonna end with me being the most dapper fellow among the pile of corpses that is left. And then Pinocchio like looks at his bloodstained hands, which I imagine is supposed to be like a little thing of like, oh, I just murdered someone. But it's done right in the middle of like Geppetto just giving a smirk and just chilling. That it feels like they should have just done one at a time. Like the fact that they just keep switching cameras from Geppetto and Pinocchio like realizing he has committed a sin, it just makes it hard to take the whole Pinocchio thing seriously. So yeah, I don't know if this was supposed to be like a Plague Tale thing, where Pinocchio feels like really bad about murder, and oh look, he's slowly becoming human. But what I do know is Geppetto does not care. And briefly, we're kind of prompted to like, kind of question whether Geppetto's the bad guy or not, because Donkey was mad at him because he created the puppets, which is a very reasonable reason to be mad at him, because the puppets killed like everyone. So you kind of think that Geppetto's a bad guy, but then he gets out and he seems pretty chill. So I don't think he's a bad guy. Yep, that's my critical thinking. That's what I have to say about this deep story plot. Anyways, let's continue with the rest of the game. But speaking of drip, we can wear the Mad Donkey's clothes. You know, It's kind of hard to sell the idea that Pinocchio feels bad about murdering someone when right after you give us the option of wearing the clothing of the person we just murdered. Great point, past toxic. But man, after killing the Mad Donkey, it was like Christmas, because we didn't only get the Mad Donkey's clothes, we also got the ability to fuse different handles and different blades together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you this beautiful system that has been created and taken from no game. This is a completely unique Liza P thing. So I want you to imagine a weapon. It has a handle. It has a blade. And with our newfound ability, we can put different handles on different blades. Now I'm sure you're wondering what that even means. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the handles in this game, they change the weapon's moveset and what its stat scalings are. And ladies and gentlemen, what the blade does is it changes the base damage of your weapon, and it also changes its weight. So of course the thing that I do is I get the most highest damaging blade from the heaviest weapon in the game usually. And this weapon usually has a very slow attack speed so that its damage isn't too overpowered. But when we throw it on the handle of the rapier, we're just swinging the most powerful blade we've gotten yet around it like it weighs nothing. This was such a cool feature and honestly such a treat. It makes you want to experiment with your weapons more, and it makes it so that even if you're not going to necessarily use a weapon or it doesn't scale with you, if you like the blade or if you like the moveset, you can always throw the blade on something else, you can throw the handle on something else, you know, you can do whatever. I just love when a game lets you experiment as much as possible. And after creating the Frankenstein's monster of blades, we decided to go into Krat City Hall. Finally, we have made it. Finally. This was the place that the girl was talking about, the place that we were supposed to find her baby. But all we found is a doll of a baby. I'm sure we can all see where this is going. I called it when I said that baby wasn't around anymore, but this was just taking a super dark turn. And once I progressed more into Krat City Hall, I eventually stumbled across a boss battle. But right before the boss battle, for the first time, there was a little pool where you could summon a duplicate of yourself. It's pretty much like the Mimic tier of Elden Ring. And I know that all the FromSoft purists are going to get super mad at this, because for some reason it feels like whenever any accessibility option gets put in a Souls game, that there's always a group of people who are crying because it's not hard enough. But I'm honestly happy that this was in the game. Especially because if you've seen those news articles, you would know that later on this game gets so difficult that some people legitimately just can't defeat it. But I summon my little minion, and I go into the boss battle. And man, just looking at the boss, he is nightmare fuel. This must be what cops look like in Britain. I know there are jokes and memes about British people's teeth being bad, but I don't think it's only the bones in their mouth. Look at this guy. He looks like a spider. I think they've just got a general bone issue, man. Honestly, I gotta say, man, the Mimic wasn't putting in too much work. I didn't really see it helping me a lot. I don't know if that's just in my game, but it seemed like he wasn't doing much. But he didn't need to do much, because I beat this guy in the second try. He really just looked scary. There wasn't much else to him. Something funny to add on about this game that I haven't mentioned before. This boss does a cute little thing that a lot of the rest of the bosses do, and that just generally happens within the game. Whenever you find a secret or kill a boss or something, you get like a bunch of cool sounding items, but you have no idea what they do. So you just have to take the game's word that you found something cool. I mean, like, bro, what is a core? What is a quartz? I don't know, man, but I guess I'll just be happy, because the game gave it to me after a boss fight, so it's probably good. But I wasn't done quite yet, because I had to take the doll to the girl. So I marched back over to that window to give her that baby doll. I had no idea what was going to happen at this point. I didn't know if she was going to believe that it was her child. I don't know if she was going to get mad. I didn't know if she was already going to be a corpse by now. I went into this completely blind, having no idea what was going to go on. And
I missed you so much. What do you think? Isn't my baby adorable?
no. She's a cute baby.
That's right, kind one. You've granted me my only wish. My sweet Elena. We're going to be happy now. Thank you so much, kind one. Please accept my heartfelt gratitude.
Man, when this happened, I was just absolutely shocked. This moment hit so hard. You're walking up to this girl, giving her a fake baby doll because you weren't able to find her baby, and you just think you're going through a normal chat dialogue, and then quickly, the game pulls you in and makes you make a choice. When it gives you that timed option, it really reminds you that you're supposed to be a part of this world, and that you legitimately influence the world that you're in. And with the really unexpected and timed cue, I wasn't able to think much about what I was going to pick. Normally when you're in chat options in a video game, you kind of sit there and think about what option you're going to choose to get the best ending and all of that, but with this, it was almost completely reactional what I had picked. Especially because I was in shock because this game was taking a massively different direction than I expected it to. But when you think about it, that's kind of the magic of this game. I kind of did a little bit of lying when I said that this was just Bloodborne 2. Because it isn't Bloodborne 2. Yes, it has the funny gothic buildings. And it has some of the same gameplay mechanics. But what's so important about Bloodborne and this game are their themes and how their different atmospheres affect you. Bloodborne and Lies of P are successful for completely different reasons. When you take Bloodborne for example, Bloodborne was really a match made in heaven. When you think about all the Dark Souls games and just Souls-likes in general, some of the best experiences you get from them are facing the most insurmountable enemies. Enemies that are so large and so powerful that it feels like you can't even put a dent in them your first time. But then eventually you start learning and learning and learning, and you're able to take down someone who's so much more powerful than you. When the best experiences in any Souls-like games are those huge insurmountable odds that come from fighting giant creatures, mixing that and Lovecraft was really a match made in heaven. Because the atmosphere that Bloodborne creates with its enemies and just the general feelings that it gives you, yes, it's a feeling of horror just like Lies of P. But it's horror because everything around you is so much larger than you, so much more powerful than you, and all you are is a small powerless hunter that has to face a hunt whether it means that you die or not. Bloodborne's horror and atmospheric success comes from showing you insurmountable odds. Terrifying creatures who are built with body horror in mind. Bloodborne took Souls-like and Lovecraft, a match made in heaven, and combined them. That's why Bloodborne is successful. But on the other hand, Lies of P wins by taking something that never should have been in a Souls-like game, Pinocchio, and making it work through the absolute brilliance of the team that created this. And because of that, Lies of P has become one of the best Souls-like games that haven't been made by FromSoft. All of us know the story of Pinocchio. I'm going off the Disney movies because that's going to be what most people know. But it's supposed to be a kid's story. But Lies of P achieves a sense of horror by taking this and twisting it. The unknown may be scary, but what's absolutely terrifying is taking what you know, what you're supposed to be comfortable with, something that we've grew up with as a kid, and twisting it into something dark and gritty. Lies of P's thematic and tonal juxtaposition to the Pinocchio we all know and love is a sign of thematic brilliance. The way it blends the familiarity of Pinocchio and its characters with the horrifying and gritty atmosphere that has been built creates a unique sense of horror by distorting a beloved children's story in a brilliant and artistic way. And I'm not talking about the surface level stuff, like making it more mature. No, the reason why this succeeded is because they took Pinocchio and twisted it and changed it in every single way. In the writing, in the theming. Like for example, something that I didn't mention at the start, when we were going into Krat Station, I mentioned how the hotel asked us if we were a puppet or not. But something I didn't mention is the hotel door said that puppets can't lie. Now, I don't gotta tell you guys, but in the original story, it's a story about becoming a real boy through not lying. Yet what this door was saying is that puppets can't lie, and only real people can lie. And it expands on this a little bit more with the girl in the window. Because when we get that quick prompt, we find something really interesting. The lie is the one that lets that woman die in peace, while the truth, it only hurts her. The option of the lie in this case is the more sympathetic one. When we go up to the girl in the window and give her the baby, we have the option to tell her that her baby is beautiful even though it's just a puppet, or we have the option to tell her that it's not real and tell the truth. What's really interesting about this is that the lie is an act of sympathy. And if you're a human being with feelings, realistically, lying to her so she can die in peace would be the correct option. If you told the truth in this case and told her that her baby wasn't real in the final moments of her life, it would almost be cruel. I don't really think I have to spell it out. With the original story, we're told that lying is wrong, and if you want to be a real boy, you can't lie. But in this encounter, it completely flips that on its head. You telling a lie is this woman's only way to salvation. In this specific situation, this woman being ignorant is almost like a form of salvation for her. It lets her die in peace. So when ignorance becomes salvation, does honesty become evil? And in this situation, was lying just and kind? I'm sure that most of you guys would agree that lying to her is the best choice here. Letting her have her peace is a more humane option. And there's a lot of other interpretations we can have to this, but it's obvious that Lies of P goes out of its way at every point to try to bend the themes of Pinocchio in a super meaningful way. And something that I really personally loved about this moment was that giving the implication that perhaps the more you lie, the more human you are, was just such a beautiful message. In the original Pinocchio, it tries to be cut and dry about the fact that lying is bad and it can only cause harm. But this game feels more honest. It takes lying and shows how it can be beautiful. It shows how it can be used as an act of sympathy to another. I know I've been talking about this moment a lot, but it really just blew me away. It really did truly feel like a love letter to human imperfection. But I don't know, maybe that's just me reading too much into like a 5-minute segment in the game. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is the game is pretty cool. 2 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding. It's a 9 out of 10. Alright, now outro time. Well, I hope you guys liked that video. I know it kind of took a massively different direction at the end, but I wanted to try and get into like some of the actual themes at the end. And I also wanted to try and find a way to tie it back into Bloodborne. But yeah, the video is out. I have no idea how it'll do. I know this game is probably not even relevant by now, so I'm kind of skeptical on how it's gonna do. But I really like the ideas that I had for this video. Like the little analysis at the end was planned before the video was made. That was a little bit scripted. So yeah, I don't really care how it does. Well, I do care how it does, but I want to release it anyways. But yeah, leave a like if you liked it. And also, subscribe. Please, I'm begging you. And also, comment. Give me some criticism, guys. Or just kind of tell me what you thought of the video. I hope I can be uploading more soon. This was my first semester of college, so I was trying to get used to everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I was just procrastinating a lot, because I really wanted to do this video well. And a lot of the time, it just didn't feel like I had the words or the jokes to put to this video. But yeah, moral of the story is, I'm gonna try and upload more. Hopefully. Anyways, see you guys. Have a good day, I suppose.